So welcome back to the Australian AoE4 Championship 2022. We're through to the losers final today between Gilv and Nunu. And so we've got Gilv here in the blue trunks as French, while Nunu is on Delhi in the pink trunks. So it's nice to see Nunu playing Delhi again, because I've seen a couple of Nunu's games in, I think, the Warchief club playing Delhi, and it was some really sick stuff. Some pretty killer H2 boom and push builds that I really quite liked, that didn't quite rely on going all the way to elephants. Because man, as cool as elephant units are, it's fucking boring waiting for them to come out. And 9 out of 10 times the Delhi player will get smashed by the time they get them out in the field. So, got Gilv on French, and he's a pretty ballin' French player. Seen some of his games on French, I think, in the last series. So, mining camp on the way here. Mostly going for the food eco. Neither player is committed to wood gathering just yet. And Nunu's actually going to have to... Oh, actually no, Nunu is, because Nunu's actually going to have to go for distance gathering early to afford that lumber camp. That's sort of the downside to getting such an early scholar out. Such an early mosque out and getting efficient production and piety finished up, is that you're actually going to have to distance gather the wood a little bit early. And I think Nunu would have even done the trick of distance gathering on the wood, but before you do the first drop off, you actually throw down the mill to get the drop off benefit. But the annoying thing is it still leaves you a little bit short on the wood. You get 100, 150, 200. It's a very wood intensive start there for the Delhi player. Well, Gilv really has to worry about getting on the wood quite late in the age up. I mean, once the age up's already started, unless you want to go for an early wheelbarrow. And I mean, against a civ like Delhi, which is going to have such a sort of a slow start and have to rely on distance gathering, it's probably not such a bad idea to go for an early night, because you can make it hit about the time they're actually going to have that first spear in production, rather than once they've actually got 2 or 3 out in the field. So, you know, it does really give the French player a little bit of an opportunity to try and knock the Delhi player back off a resource briefly, if not snipe a villager or 2. Because I mean, you know, that in the ideal world, you're going to fucking snipe as many vills as you can and get 2 or 3 every time you run through. But let's be honest, once you start playing people that know what they're doing as much as you know what you're doing, it tends to be more you deny them a little bit of gathering time before they send spears, and you got to get the fuck out of there before you lose the most expensive, well, one of the most expensive H2 units. So, Dame of the Faith, gonna make the scholars a bit cheaper, so it's gonna allow for double speed production for our Delhi player. It also means that they've got this building to actually queue up scholars from without having to interrupt their starting mosques training. So you can get things like Sanctity, which allow you to actually control sacred sites and age early, which is quite a huge gathering boom. Because really, the sacred sites, it's like controlling a relic, really. Nunu's just eating the damage at the moment, but at the same time, it does mean Gilv's Knight's going to be able to come in and clean this up. But it looks like the Scholar's going to be used to heal, which is quite smart here for Gilv. I mean, smart here for Nunu. It's going to be sent to garrison in the barracks. So Nunu He's going to get the upgrade to Hardened after making an initial Spearman. But the annoying part about Delhi is it's almost impossible to play them truly perfectly because you don't actually want this Scholar in until after you're actually getting Hardened, unless you desperately need to kill a Knight right there, right now. It's honestly something I've never even seen people like Syak or Hut take into account when they play Delhi. Does Hut play them? No, there's someone else really high level from Australia. Syak's not, but he's just a high level player from sort of this time zone, so. But yeah, like if you're getting the upgrade to Hardened and the Scholars in the barracks and not the mosque, it's not actually contributing to reduced research time, and you're not making any benefit of reduced train time. So even if you are going for up to maybe 3 or 4 Spearmen before you take the upgrade, it's perhaps a good idea to, leave the Scholar in the mosque unless you desperately need him somewhere to heal, and you desperately need the spears right there and right then. But we're getting into ideal playstyle for probably the most unconventional Civ in the game, I'd say. Given the fact that they've got research upgrades like this, and look at how many you've got to try and queue up all at once the moment you actually age up. Everyone's fucking late on some of them. But enough about Delhi. Nunu having to try and ward off this pressure from Gilv, but this time the spears are in a much better place and Gilv might be overstaying here. Because Gilv's really going to have to try and get Chivalry now to heal those Knights up and bring them into the fight. And probably isn't going to want to until he fields 1 or 2 more Knights, so the 3rd Knight coming out. Bowman production, sorry, Archer production has started for Gilv as well, at the 1 range. It looks like he's going to go for the stone. Does need to get a production, drop-off facility on that though. So Nunu hitting pop cap at the moment, adding Horsemen now as well, and can produce them pretty quickly with the Scholars. Or Gilv taking out one of Nunu's scouts. So there's this little raiding force here. So Gilv, as the French player, he really needs to get that mining camp down because this distance gathering is really going to slow him down, and he has had the wood to try and cram one of these out. Bearing in mind, mining camps and all drop-off camps are only 25 wood for the French, so if there is a civ you never want to distance gather on, just out of playing optimal economically, this is probably one of them. So he really needs to get that finished because it is quite a significant walk time. It's not like AoEO or AoE2 where sometimes you can get straggler trees spawning so close, it's not worth dropping off to them, but it's actually worth gathering from them early on. Ooh, and this is a rough trade for Gilv because for the cost of 2 Spearmen, Nunu gets 2 Knights and a Scout there. Well, there's another fight going on down here. And Gilv's had to retreat because he's lost a lot because he hasn't had the bulk of his forces here. And Nunu's had majority Spearmen in the army. Gilv's only just now realised about the mining camp, and I think he's gone for that as Nunu's actually engaged at both sides here. So a really impressive push out for Nunu. Happening at a really unfortunate time there for Gilv. And so I think Nunu's going to be safe to get 1 or possibly 2 sacred sites here. Because it is an expensive army to replace, and now Gilv's adding Chivalry and he's got no Knights alive. He can honestly skip the tech at this point. It's going to eat up a lot of resources for him. When he could probably have thrown down, well, probably just completely cut gold gathering and just gone straight for a mix of Horseman, Archer and Spearman. So Gil's just now got The upgrade to his hardened spearman. He's got a couple of scouts here too. So Nunu's managing to control both these sacreds now. So nice gold trickle. Well, Gil trying to mount a fight that I don't think he's got the spearman count to actually take here. And there's not enough bowmen to really one-shot spears either. So this is a great fight here for Nunu. Keeping the spears busy as long as possible with some of the horsemen while the others go to town on the range. All the spearmen's actually stuck for Gilv. This fight, I think, is only just now starting to go Gilv's way. We've got some more reinforcements for Nunu now. And the scholars, scholar diff. That would actually heal up all the low spearmen through that. I was thinking that fight would go a lot worse for Gilv than it did, but even still, I think he walked out of that the loser in it, and he has very little in the bank to try and defend this with. Well, Nunu's actually got the gold for Castle Age, can sort of slow down on the gold gathering, even cram in. I was going to say cram in text, but Delhi doesn't actually have to spend anything on the text, just sort of. Well, what do you really need to spend the gold on here at this stage, is Delhi? More scholars, I guess. Because that passive gold gen's just going to keep creeping in for Nunu as well. So really just gather as much food as you can, as quick as you can, and get the free Castle Age. So Nunu can have access to the Lancers and the Royal Guard. So Gil's now actually really able to relish in the fact that he's got the French Age 2, so eventually his opponent's going to have to try and get that quicker Age 3 over him. Ideally, as long as he hasn't lost too much, but at the same time, looks like Nunu's bringing a little bit of everything here. Some villagers to throw down a tower, and a lot of the scholars as well. And Nunu's managed to get just enough spears, but it shouldn't matter about Gil's spears. The horsemen can actually sit on top of the archers now. Or perhaps not quite. There's a couple of knights still here. There is archer production now for Nunu as well, so this is really going to make it tough for Gilv because there's both archers and horsemen to chip away at them. So Gilv once again having a retreat for the moment. Bit of gold in the bank at the moment. Bit of wood, but struggling for the food. Gil's still got these 3 scouts. I wonder if he's best off actually just trying to harass somewhere with them, if he can. Maybe just come in and try and kill one of these villagers or burn down the house. Oh, actually I suppose it's in TC range. We'll split them up and camp one of each relic, just so you know when your opponent's going for them, because there's now a house of learning on the way for Nunu. So with the fact that Delhi's one of those civs that does pre-produce their priest unit, you know, there's 5 of these guys, there's 5 relics on the map. You'd honestly send one to each point. This wall's going to be quite nice for Gilv because it will lock off the sacred and 2 relics. But saying that, you're still going to need the knights or the scouts on patrol. Ah, the scouts are being used to bring back food. Ah, I didn't realize that. I can't actually remember what the text's called now, but it's nice to see someone using it. Scouts being used to bring back the food. One of the scholars getting picked off, so, I mean, is that MMs? Scholars, sorry. Yeah, it's MMs for Abbasid. Ooh, so, Nunu trying to wall this off completely, but Gilv chipping away at that wall now. It's killed off that one spearman. Gilv trying to raid somewhere in Nunu's base as well. The two spears are actually going to be able to clean up one or two of these knights. So I'm going to be used to try and focus the villagers. Fight going on down here, and Gilv actually looks to be in a pretty good spot in terms of the range count there. And he's got one of the relics in tow. Getting the tower alley out. I know I said I didn't like them, but now that Nunu's got them, I like them. I think Gil should be able to clean these guys up and regen through it. Like, it's not cost effective, but in saying that, if you don't actually get the kill, yeah, if you don't actually get the kill, then there's no value. Ooh, so Gilv gonna steal the Huntables, and on top of that, Nunu's in an awkward spot here where there's some villagers. They're gonna need to be backed up and might get caught out here, but Towerly able to attack Gilv's army. There's not quite enough spears to take it on. Nunu doesn't have the stone to go for a forward keep or anything. Nunu's actually going to be trying be a bit greedy here and steal this forward berries off Gilv. Gilv, age 3 now. So Royal Institute, access to some pretty awesome technology at a discount. So Royal Bloodlines, which is actually an Imperial tech. If you can get this in Castle Age, is immense. Crossbow stirrups, I believe, is the same. The Arbs gives them that attack speed increase. So Gilv trying to prevent Nunu from getting enough stone to go for a forward keep here. But there's already crossbowmen, man-at-arms and horsemen there to back this up. Nunu's managed to sneak a Lancer inside Gilv's base here as well. So this could be a bit deadly because Gilv... Oh wow, Gilv's actually really banking a huge amount of food at the moment. And saying that, you know, these villages still could be used to gather from other resources. So losing them is not going to be great. They're going to get evacuated, but still this point of the map's really been cut off. But now it's Gilv's chance to get a kill of a knight unit with relative ease. So a knight for a spearman, I'll take that trade any day of the week as the spearman user, not as the knight user. You're getting picked off there in the attempt of trying to wall up. So now Nunu's going to go for that forward keep while the army's here keeping the opponent busy. Gilv has a huge force though, up to 111 pop. Oops. Nunu's actually trailing Gilv on population at the moment. And these archers going to try and whittle down the villages. There's not quite enough of them to stop this keep from going up though. Ooh, and the knights being brought with a crossbowman. I think if they had been rallied there, they could have got there a little bit faster, but in saying that, might be just enough villagers here to get this keep done. Nunu now below 90 pop, and Gilv is actually still up at 110, so a really risky push here. But it seems to have worked because Gilv's now forced to put up a defensive keep himself just to keep his base safe. And at the same time, all this production isn't, all these houses, all that's going to have to be replaced eventually until the keep gets taken out. This is very greedy from Nunu, but it's going to really pay off because it's going to force Gilv to have to rely on the food from the farms exclusively. And it's really messing with, yeah, gathering here. Even that gold could probably be gathered from. So Gilv desperately has to try and get siege out here. So counterweight Treb on the way, probably going to want to get production of a second as well, but there's not a lot of easy wood here for Gilv. Like, look at this, he's really only got this clump left. This one's just about finished. This one, these are distant clumps, so it's a lot of walk time to actually gather from them. He's got this one over here, otherwise these little ones over here, but the big ones he's sort of cut off from at the moment. So keep slowly going to chip away at the town centre. It'll be slightly faster than the town centre returning fire. Nunu's even brought a relic up just to try and go for an area convert. So I don't know if Nunu really has anything in the way of siege here at the moment. Gilv adding more counterweight Trebs. Gilv still is at that 110 pop mark. Well, Nunu's at 90 and the convert goes down. But so does the Scholar. There are more Scholars here to try and attempt the conversion though. For now they are just going to be used to heal. Gilv dipping below the 100 pop mark, but Nunu's already below the 90 pop mark. Now the Knights, so the Lancers, not quite going to be able to clean up the Treb. A quick repair there from Gilv. But Nunu's forces, I think, have overwhelmed Gilv's. There's not really any army left here for Gilv. The keep still stands tall. There's plenty of villagers here, and they are still stealing that gold. There is plenty of villagers here to repair the keep as well once this counterweight Treb goes down. So Gilv is running out of options to try and defend here. He's having to try and get it to... Oh, sorry, I was thinking that was another keep of his, but this is actually a keep here from Nunu. This is very cheeky stuff, because if this finishes up without Gilv realizing it, this is definitely going to be the end here. He needed the villagers to pick off that keep, I think. Garrison, well, he needed to leave him garrison in the town centre long enough to pick off the keep, building villagers. But Nunu is just impressively far ahead. A huge amount of gold in the bank. Doesn't really need to be gathering any at all. Oh, a lot of it's being traded out, I think, into the other resources there. Huge expense. This is a commanding lead now for Nunu as Gilv back at 60 pop. Nunu back up at 100. This is great. The unit's still patrolling around Gilv's base. Unfortunately, Gilv has to tap out here.